I stood there, heart racing, as the weight of my decision settled heavily on my shoulders. I was offering my ex-wife a choice that felt monumental: 50-50 custody of our kids or full custody with child support. It was a crossroads that would shape the lives of our children, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to ignite a storm. Going through a divorce is like walking through a fog. Everything feels murky, and clarity is a rare commodity. My marriage to Rayanne had lasted 10 years, and we had two beautiful kids together. I loved them fiercely, and I had been their primary caregiver since they were born. After her maternity leave, I took on the role of the stay-at-home dad. It just made sense. Rayanne's job required her to travel frequently, while I worked from home. I even sacrificed my home office during the pandemic, moving my workspace to the dining room so she could have a quiet place for her Zoom meetings. But somewhere along the way, the love that once connected us began to fizzle out. There was no dramatic betrayal or abuse. It was just a slow unraveling of what we once had. When we finally decided to part ways, I thought we could navigate this transition amicably. I wanted to keep things as smooth as possible for our kids. But then came the lawyers, and everything changed. Rayanne's lawyer, in my opinion, wasn't the brightest. He convinced her to pursue primary custody along with child support and spousal support. I was taken aback. I made less money than her, and I had been the one raising our kids. It felt like a slap in the face. I knew I had to act to protect my relationship with my children and ensure they had stability. After a long night of tossing and turning, I spoke with my lawyer. I laid out my thoughts, my fears, and my hopes. I wanted to give Rayanne a choice, a chance to see the reality of what she was asking for. So I proposed two options: 50-50 custody with no child support, or she could take full custody and receive child support based on the government guidelines. It was a simple choice, but I knew it would have profound implications. When I presented this to Rayanne, I could see the shock in her eyes. She was taken aback, and I could feel the tension in the air. "You're weaponizing the kids," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I felt a pang of guilt, but I stood my ground. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was trying to make her understand the weight of her demands. "You could manage it if you accepted 50-50 custody," I replied, my heart racing. I wanted her to see that she could still have a career and be a good mother. But she countered with her own fears, saying that finding a place big enough for the kids would be too expensive. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, and I knew this was just the beginning of a long and painful negotiation. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself reflecting on our life together. I remembered the laughter we shared, the dreams we built, and the love that once filled our home. But now it felt like we were two strangers fighting over the pieces of a life we had created together. I didn't want to give up custody of my kids. I wanted Rayanne to understand the reality of her situation. My parents owned the apartment where we lived, and they had agreed to help me keep it. I wanted our kids to have a solid place to call home, a place filled with love and stability. I could work from anywhere, even from a beach in Portugal, if it came to that. But the thought of being away from my kids was unbearable. Every time I saw Rayanne, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. I wanted her to see that this wasn't just about money or custody. It was about our children's future. I wanted her to realize that being a parent is a commitment that requires sacrifice and effort. But every conversation felt like a battle, and I was exhausted. I remember one evening sitting on the couch, staring at the wall, lost in thought. My kids were playing in the other room, their laughter echoing through the apartment. I felt a surge of love for them, but it was tinged with fear. What would happen if Rayanne took full custody? Would they still know how much I loved them? Would they understand the sacrifices I was making for them? I tried to remain calm, to keep my emotions in check, but it was hard. I felt like I was walking a tightrope, balancing my desire to protect my kids with the need to communicate with Rayanne. I wanted her to see that I wasn't trying to take anything away from her. I was trying to ensure that we both remained active participants in our children's lives. As the negotiations continued, I found myself questioning my choices. Was I being unreasonable? Was I the asshole for giving her an ultimatum? I wrestled with these thoughts, replaying our conversations in my mind. I wanted to believe that I was doing the right thing, but doubt crept in like a shadow. I could see the toll this was taking on Rayanne too. She was stressed, overwhelmed by the prospect of starting over. I wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but I felt like I was stuck in this role of the adversary. I didn't want to be her enemy. I wanted to be a co-parent, someone she could rely on. But every time we spoke, it felt like we were just digging deeper into a pit of resentment. Then came the day when she finally agreed to think about my proposal. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, and I hoped that she would come to see the benefits of shared custody. I wanted her to understand that it wasn't just about her career or her life. It was about our kids having both parents actively involved in their lives. But as the days passed, I felt the anxiety creeping back in. What if she decided to fight me on this? What if she refused to budge? I couldn't bear the thought of losing my kids, of not being there for them as they grew up. I wanted to be their rock, their constant support. I remember one night lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I thought about the future, about what it would look like for my kids. I wanted them to have a happy childhood, filled with love and laughter. I wanted them to know that both their parents cared deeply for them, even if we couldn't be together anymore. As I lay there, I realized that this wasn't just about custody. It was about love. It was about ensuring that our children felt secure and supported no matter what. I wanted to fight for them, to advocate for their needs, but I also wanted to do it in a way that didn't tear their mother apart. The next time I saw Rayanne, I took a deep breath and approached her with a different mindset. I wanted to listen, to understand her fears and concerns. I wanted to find common ground, a way for us to move forward together. Rayanne, I said softly, I know this is hard for you. It's hard for me too. But we both love our kids, and I believe we can find a way to make this work. Her eyes softened, and for a moment I saw a glimpse of the woman I had fallen in love with. We talked for hours, sharing our fears, our hopes, and our dreams for our children. It was a breakthrough, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. In that conversation, I realized that we were both scared. Scared of losing our kids, scared of the unknown. But we were also united in our love for them, and that love was powerful enough to help us navigate this difficult path. As we continued to discuss our options, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It wasn't going to be easy, but I knew we could find a way to co-parent effectively. I wanted Rayanne to feel supported, to know that I was there for her, even if we weren't together anymore. In the end, I hoped that our children would see us working together, that they would feel the love we both had for them. I wanted them to grow up knowing that their parents cared deeply for their happiness and well-being. As I reflect on this journey, I realize that it's not just about custody or support. It's about love, understanding, and the commitment to be there for our kids, no matter what. And as I stand at this crossroads, I know that I will continue to fight for my children, to advocate for their needs, and to ensure that they have the best possible future. Subscribe for more stories.